I have mixed feelings. Hey guys, so I absolutely love working on new to me puzzle brands, and the ones that we are going to work on today are from a brand that I have. It's been sat on my shelf since one of my very last Barnes & Noble's puzzle trip last year. It's been on the shelf for a while, catching dust, and I figured, you know what, this is like one of those brands that almost everybody knows about, so it's about time that I finally get into it. So with that being said, I'm just gonna get right to showing you what we're working on. So the brand that I am talking about is Clementoni, and this one is a 500 count puzzle. It is called Maine Lighthouse, and it's 13 1/3 by 14 1/5 inches when it's completed. Well, that's pretty exact. And then the 1,000 count puzzle that I have here is called Lighting Venice, and it's 19 2/3 by 27 1/5 inches when it's completed. Now, Clementoni is a brand from Italy, and these two puzzles are from their high quality collection, which is their most fascinating images, quality printing, precise fitting with strong and rich materials. They weren't very expensive. These ranged between $14.99 and $16.99, which is really not bad in my opinion for, you know, any puzzles that you get at Barnes & Noble's, because they tend to be kind of pricey over there. But, you know, with it being from their high quality collection, I wonder if, you know, the fit is any good and the hold. So the more I look at these images, the more I'm like, I feel like these are going to take me forever. But that's okay, because I still absolutely love this image. I mean, you know how I am about lighthouses and houses on the edge of a cliff. I mean, this is an absolutely beautiful photo. But what worries me about it is all the sky that we got going on here. I mean, when you think about it, you got a lot of rock formation, you got a lot of sky, and you have water. And those things I do tend to struggle with when it comes to, you know, piecing an image together. And then, you know, for the 1,000 count puzzle here, we kind of have the same situation. Again, another beautiful image, but I mean, look at all that sky. Look at the water. We got a lot of cluttered buildings here. I mean, it's Venice, obviously. I love Venice. But anyways, you kind of have, like, when you break the image down, 3 separate components. And that's kind of like how I go about thinking about how I'm going to sort in the beginning. Did that make sense? I'm sure you understand what I'm getting at. I'm only seeing 3 major things here: buildings, water, and sky. So, I don't know. Probably those trays are going to be huge. I see resorting multiple times in my future, but we'll see, right? But I'm never going to know until I finally, you know, get into these. So you know what? This looks like this is going to take me quite a while, so I better get a move on. Let's do this. All right, well, it's actually been quite a while since I filmed the first clip, but that's okay because I'm still the same person and the puzzles are still here. So anyways, they both have plastic wrap, so let's start by getting that off. And now that that plastic wrap is off, I get a nice feel of the box itself. Feels nice. Nice sturdy box, which is good. But let's start with the 500 count puzzle first. All right, looks like so far we got ourselves quite a bit of puzzle dust. Yeah, that's quite a bit of dust. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to empty it in the box so that I don't get that all over my table. So let's do that real quick and check out these pieces. Stuck on the plastic as well, but enough about the puzzle dust. Actually, no, let's keep talking about the puzzle dust. Take a load of that. Take a look at that down there. Yeah, this is quite a very dusty puzzle. And of course, I'm dropping pieces on the floor. All right, found those now. Let's move on from the puzzle dust and let's start talking about the pieces that we have here. All right, so as long as this camera is focusing, I'm glad we got some good lighting today because, I mean, look at the detail on this. This is a very sharp print. You can see all the little ripples in the waves of the water here. Here we got some trees in the distance with the sunset. That's pretty darn clear. You can see all the rock formation as well. I mean, this is a very sharp print. And the colors are fantastic from what I'm seeing in this box here. We have a lot of, how can I say, you got all these beautiful sun rays from the sunset, and I mean, I am seeing that with these pieces. Pieces feel nice and sturdy, which is always a plus. The tabs feel very strong. I'm not, so far, let me see. Oh, we got a thin one here. Let's see how that feels. That feels pretty sturdy. That's a good plus right there. And in terms of piece size, it's not bad at all. Let's see what we have here. For this particular piece shape, we have 1.15 inches or 29.2 millimeters. This particular piece is 31.1 millimeters or 1.22 inches. So that's pretty darn good. In terms of thickness, let's see what we have. 0.07 inches or 1.9 millimeters. So, you know, pretty good thickness. And in terms of glare though, I almost forgot about that. Let's take a look at that real quick. I'm not really seeing much of a glossy finish here. So I'm not really getting much glare, if any of that. Let's try this piece. Only very slight. This is great, actually. This is exciting, but you know, of course, it's all about the fit and hold for me, you know. But that's the 500 piece. Let's take a look at the 1000 count puzzle and see if it's any different in terms of size, thickness, or anything like that. Once again, we do have quite a bit of puzzle dust, so seems to be a Clementoni thing. But anyways, let's just look at the pieces. As I'm emptying it, so I'm kind of feeling like I'm not going to put these pieces back in the bag after I'm done with the puzzle, because, I mean, just take a look at that load of puzzle dust. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that much puzzle dust before in a bag. This is pretty crazy. We've got, like, actual shavings in here, but yeah, I think I'm probably going to just throw this away and just save it in the box afterwards. Pretty sure I got most of that out. But anyways, back to the pieces. Let's take a look at this print here. We got ourselves another really good print here. It does seem a little bit blurrier, I feel, compared to the 500 count pieces. It could just be that they blew up the image a bit bigger. But in terms of colors, I mean, it seems very vibrant still. And the piece also feels strong, just like the 500 count. And really, I'm kind of feeling like these are the same size as the 500 count puzzle pieces. Let's take a look at that. I mean, before I do, I've just pulled out two pieces here and I'm finding quite a bit of damage to these pieces. So in regards to the production, I mean, this particular puzzle, I don't know if you've experienced this with some of your Clementoni puzzles, but they're not really cut all the way through. So you gotta, well, I have a lot of the back peeling away. This one is like really bad as well. That's completely torn, but you know, piece is still overall, well, for the most part, intact. But anyways, let's head to piece size here. So for this particular one, we have 28.2 millimeters or 1.11 inches. In terms of the thickness of the piece, obviously if the backing is still intact, you know, that kind of takes away from it a little bit. But anyways, we got ourselves 0.07 inches or 1.8 millimeters. So, you know, like the 500 count, I do feel like they're pretty sturdy in terms of like the whole piece. But oh my goodness, I don't think I've had this many issues before in a puzzle. Oh. But anyways, as I puzzle along through these, I'm super curious if there's going to be any differences with the overall hold, you know, the whole piecing together experience and whatnot. I want to move on with this. I want to see these put together, and I'm curious whether I'm going to enjoy them or not. But anyways, let's move on.
Alright, so let's begin this Clementoni adventure by tackling the 500 count first.
Alright, I actually started putting the edges together without discussing my sorting. So yeah, let's do that. I have 7 trays in total. So the first one, we have our edge pieces. Second tray, we have all the rock pieces. So it's going to be anything from this area here. I feel like that's going to be one of the more challenging trays to piece together. These 3 trays here are all sky pieces, but we have different, as you can see, color tones. So this is more of the blue and purples. We have the light yellows, light orange, probably some light purples in there too, more like the pinks. And then we have the deeper yellows and orange here. Next tray we have pieces that have house bits to it. So it's gonna be obviously the lighthouse, my house here with some of the sunset in the background, some fencing, and probably some rock formation as well. And then finally we have the tray with water pieces. For some reason I thought this would be a lot more pieces, but it's not, and that's okay. So yeah, water. And that's it, pretty straightforward. This wasn't really hard to sort, and I like when puzzles are like that. But anyways, let's move on with this. All right, well, this is actually going really fast. I'm honestly surprised how quickly I've gotten the sky done here, but you know, let me not jinx it right now. I still got quite a few pieces here that I'm probably gonna resort by shape and probably start doing the same for the pieces with all the rock formation, because I haven't even really started on that. But yeah, so far so good in terms of piecing together. Image wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be, but this is overall a small puzzle, so that's good. But anyways, let's move on. And resorting by shape really did the trick. It was the best route considering the rest of the sky that I had left was just plain blue. And the rocks were tricky to figure out. Once I had all the pieces lined up correctly, it didn't take me that much longer. After about 3 hours, I was finally able to step outside my front door and savor the beautiful view of my very own lighthouse with the sunrise. With my morning coffee in hand, of course. But I couldn't stand out there too long because I still had one more Clementoni to get through, and I just knew that this one was going to be way more challenging. Alright, well that pile seemed quite overwhelming at first, and for some reason the more that I sorted, the more the pile didn't look like it was disappearing. But anyways, as I was sorting it, I realized that I don't got much going on in this image. So here's what I did. Got myself the edge pieces here. Not much going on in this one, but I figured concentrate more on like dark browns, and it kind of turns into like browns to oranges kind of thing. I don't really know. I'm not really sure exactly where this is in the picture. I think it's like this area here that I have. But you know, we'll see as we go on. This tray is mostly light pieces, so I feel like I have a lot of water pieces in here, a lot of areas where the sky is just the white clouds. So I'm thinking like all this here, some of this area. It was a little confusing for me to figure this one out, but I also have like very light shades of pink as well, and you know, so on. These two trays here are very, very similar. They're all like sky pieces. At least I think they're all sky pieces because we have a lot of blue going on here. But you know what? Instead of saying sky, I'm just going to say blues. But this tray has more blues with like pink hues in them. And I don't know, I have some other ones here that maybe the sunset or sunrise. I don't know. But it's going to be this area mostly in terms of the pink and blues. And the rest, I mean, I'm thinking it's all this and most likely some of this. So yeah, again, we shall see. This next tray is huge, and this is all buildings. So it's gonna be all this bit here, all of this, and most likely we'll need a pretty good resort. Next tray here, I seem like I have kind of like, wait a minute, hold on. Well, anyways, we got lighter browns, I guess you can say, and oranges. So yeah, more of this area here, maybe some of those. I mean, I feel like I could have combined those, but you know what, that's okay, whatever. And then this last tray here is anything that I believe to just be the water. So that's just mainly like a solid blue with some dark hues here and there. And I think I have some of the boat pieces here as well, but I feel like between this tray and those two, it's gonna be quite a challenge. Actually, I feel like the more I look at this image, the more I'm thinking, why did I pick this one? Because this is gonna be super hard for me. I'm not the best with skies. I'm not the best with, you know, like solid areas. I mean, got a lot of, this is gonna be hard. You know what, let's get started.
Yeah, this has been absolutely tricky. And I must say, I am still quite surprised that I started working on the sky initially, after I did the edge pieces. But yeah, I guess I figured ASAP rather than later, leaving the craziness for last. But anyways, I haven't gotten all of it in there yet. Just kind of pinpointed the areas, or actually resorted it by areas that had like very specific colors, and that kind of helped me, figure out where they went. This sky, look at that sky. I still have so much of that. I have all the water to do. Yeah, I also didn't realize, well, I didn't think at the time when I was initially laying out the edge pieces that this was a vertical puzzle. So trying to figure out how I'm going to continue going about working on this. Should I move the table? Should I leave it as is? Don't know yet. We'll get to that. But anyway, some of these trays have a lot less pieces in them. That's empty, obviously, but we still have all the solid, well, nearly solid blues there, and then just a few of those in there. And then on this side, I haven't even tackled the tray with buildings, which is typically something I do earlier on in the completion process, but I don't know. I'm kind of going wild and crazy with this one. Probably because my mind went bananas when I started realizing how difficult this was going to be. But anyways, I do have to say though, my biggest complaint with this whole experience so far is the amount of damaged pieces I am coming across. These are all the little bits of backing that I'm having to pull off numerous puzzle pieces. This is like the second batch already. I had to throw some away because the pile was just too much and just blowing everywhere. And it's giving me a hard time with some pieces popping in, so I have to like completely peel it off, which sucks, but it has to be done. I do love the image, so that's a big motivation here, and I'm looking forward to seeing this get more put together. So let's move on and do that. All right, well, the building pieces were actually much easier than I thought it'd be to piece together, which is a good thing. But anyways, now we are left with the water and the rest of the sky here. And I feel like those are going to be super challenging because we got a lot of the same thing going on here in terms of color, tones, and like, I'm pretty sure these are the water pieces because they're mainly solid, but there's a lot of them here. So I'm thinking the best thing to probably do is to resort them by shape. And I think that'll help me pinpoint what goes where a little easier. Section, honestly, what we have left is not a lot, but still, it's a little overwhelming to me at the moment. So yeah, let's restart these by shape and let's continue on and get this done. All right. Even though this puzzle was a bit of a challenge, I feel like this was some of my best work, or timing I should say, when it comes to piecing together skies and solid areas. Resorting by shape is my usual go-to when I get towards the end and I get stuck with tricky areas like that. Overall, this was actually fun and an absolutely beautiful one to see come together. In the end, I waited about 4 hours to take my gondola ride throughout town with a second coffee in hand. But as I strolled along the water, I couldn't help but think about some issues that took away from the whole Clementoni experience.
Alright, so it's actually taken me a few days to fully put my thoughts together for this brand. And really, overall, I have mixed feelings. So let's quickly go over the positives. To me, the best thing about this particular collection, the high quality collection, is the print. It was very sharp, especially on that 500 count puzzle. I mean, you can really see those tiny details very clearly. The colors are on point. The photograph itself, the puzzle image is amazing with all that color in it. And that image transferred perfectly to the puzzle. Is that the word? I think you know what I'm trying to say. But anyways, it looks very true to the box image. And I also didn't really deal with glare, which is always a plus. And both counts had a very good piece size and a good number of piece shapes. But there were a number of things I was not a fan of. One of them being the inconsistency with the hold for both puzzle counts. Both of them barely made it through the pickup test, though the 1000 count did perform better at that. And although the 500 count was cut well, it was on the crumbly side. Now the 1000 count had a slightly better hold, but it was cut horribly during production. It was so bad, I had numerous pieces still stuck together and the backing was just a mess. It was peeling off, and I had so many pieces of backing at times that I kept having to create little piles of mess around my space. Thank goodness I absolutely loved both images. They were actually quite fun to piece together. Even though they consisted of areas and elements that I tend to struggle with, like the skies and, rock formation and such, but they ended up being fun challenges. I'm still quite surprised the sky didn't torture me as bad as I thought it would, but I have to say, the crumbliness of the 500 count puzzle and the terrible cut and peeling of the backing on the 1000 count puzzle unfortunately really took away from the whole experience. Like, the 1000 count got me frustrated at times because it felt like almost every piece was just falling apart and I was spending too much time having to peel it, fix it, clean up, whatever. I don't know. Another thing that might seem like a negative to some people is the fact that neither of these, or I guess the brand itself, they don't come with reference images. So all you have is the box image, which to some is not very helpful because it's too small. And then back to messes, both of these puzzles had an insane amount of puzzle dust. I ended up just throwing the bags away. And even though I tried sifting it, it still left some dust on my table. But anyways, even though my patience was tested at times when it came to these negatives, I am very glad that I finally got to try Clementoni puzzles. Now, would I buy more in the future to give it a second chance? I don't know. It certainly would have to be an image that I just can't refuse. And to be fair, I didn't find these very expensive, so I don't know, we'll see. But please do let me know what your experiences have been like with this brand. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Did you deal with the same messy experiences that I did? I mean, I don't know, this could have just been a one-off for me. And I do know this can happen to other brands as well. But I would be very curious to know if you've experienced any of the things that I mentioned. But anyways, guys, I need to figure out what my next puzzle adventure is going to be. Thank you so much for watching. Hope all is well, and I'll see you in the next one.